Howdy, everybody. Welcome to Liberty Libations number 166. My name is Jake Green, joined as usual by Stephen, Nick, and Alden. And our special guest for the evening is Miss Alison Sher. How you doing tonight?
I'm good. I'm grateful to be here.
Heck yeah. I noticed you toasted as soon as we launched. What are you drinking?
Some good old-fashioned H2O.
All right, I'll take it. That's probably what I should be drinking, but I am actually drinking some whiskey in the back of my truck.
Yeah, she's smarter than the rest of us.
Yeah, she is. Steven, what are you drinking tonight, man?
Still alcohol-free because, we had this crazy notion at 40 years old we're going to have another baby.
I was going to say he's smart too, and then you ruined it at the end there. No.
Yeah, there we go. So hop water. The next best thing. So all the flavor of an IPA, but no alcohol, and actually a little bit of ashwagandha. So
okay, well, I like that. I don't like the IPA, but I like
the IPA and no alcohol. I'm astounded that this is a thing.
Yeah.
All right. Nick, what do you got, man?
Yeah, I've got water because I didn't have a chance to get to the liquor store.
Am I the only one drinking?
No, I'm drinking.
Nick's drinking.
There we go.
Yeah.
We'll just kill brain cells together, Jake and I.
Yeah, perfect.
I got a Kirkland lager because I'm cheap, which is actually made by Deschutes. It's pretty good. And then I got E.H. Taylor because I'm not cheap, apparently. It's a weird mix.
There we go. All right. Well, y'all, we've got an excellent show for y'all tonight. We weren't sure if Alison was going to be able to make it exactly on time, but she did, which is wonderful. And we got a video of Trump doing something stupid per usual that we're going to watch at the beginning, and we'll dissect it, and then we'll intro Alison and what she's doing here, and we'll go from there. So let's watch Trump being Trump. Here we go.
Placie is a disaster for our party. He comes from a state that I won by a landslide. You got to get rid of this loser. This guy is bad. He's disloyal to the Republican Party. He's disloyal to the people of Kentucky. And most importantly, he is disloyal to the United States of America. And he's got to be voted out of office as soon as possible.
I want to thank you for your endorsement, because once you did that, my support skyrocketed. So I look forward to serving to the people as their representative of Kentucky District 4. Because as you folks know, you deserve an authentic, true Republican conservative that stands shoulder to shoulder with our president and the Republican Party and against the Democrats who are trying to destroy our nation. Mr. President.
All right, we're going to stop it there. All right. Alison, are you aware of this whole feud between Trump and Massey, and do you have any opinions on what's going on with this?
I don't pay attention to every single thing that's happening, so I'm not quite aware of this feud, but more focused on the war right now, the information I'm consuming. But yeah, there's a lot of good Trump stuff out there to make fun of.
Yes, you're not wrong about that. So the four of us on the show are all libertarians, so we tend to very much agree with Thomas Massey and everything that he's trying to do. And he's kind of been one of the primary folks who have challenged Trump over the last few years in the Republican Party. And what's really funny is every time Trump attacks Massey's polling numbers go way up. And so many millionaires and billionaires are funding his challenger's campaign, but he's still murdering them in all the polls. So it's a very interesting dynamic where Trump can't help but attack him, but every time he does, it helps Massey. So it's interesting. I don't know. Nick, I know you've got a lot of opinions on Trump doing this to Massey. What do you got?
Yeah. Well, I think the first and foremost is the betting numbers. So what people are actually putting money on, not just the polling, jumped big for Massey yesterday after this. I think one of the more interesting parts is them digging up Galbraith's change of party status. That apparently he left the GOP over Trump's nomination in 2016. And that was out there. So once again, you have Donald Trump aligning with the people who in 2016 declared themselves never Trump, which is that's where it seems to be. You know, the Lindsey Grahams, Ben Shapiro's, Mark Levin's that seem to be all, you know, against him there. Now all of a sudden he's aligned with them everywhere. And this is another case of that. And I think people are seeing through the bullshit and seeing a lot that well, one, Massey's been in that seat for 10 years. His district knows him.
Yes.
And really where the feud comes from on this is that he's kind of pushing the agenda that Trump ran on, right? I mean, this feud kicked off because Massey refused to let the Epstein file stuff die. Yep. And I mean, that was a core part of the campaign, you know, Kash Patel in his bid for, you know, in his run up, and even Bongino there when they were, you know, before the election, then trying to get a position. We're all about that. And then all of a sudden it comes in, and then, you know, now Thomas Massey's the bad guy for saying, no, I said this, you guys said this, I'm sticking to it. And
yeah,
it's good.
Yeah.
So
I mean, yeah, this was just kind of a prerequisite to, or prequel to our episode. So I mean, most of our audience knows exactly how we feel about this whole Trump Massey feud. I don't think we need to belabor the point or spend too much time on it. So I think we move on to Drunkard of the Week, and then we'll talk about Alison's book for the next for the rest of the show. So let's do that.
I am not fucking drunk.
Well, 19th or blue.
Every pretty girl deserves to go to a ball.
This is everything about it's a clam. I love it.
I gotta be honest with you, I feel like I'm a little bit too drunk to stand up.
On Wiedersehen, asshole.
I'm drunk right now.
All right, a little more in line with what Alison has been focused on the last month or so. Y'all, this is Drunkard of the Week, the part of the show where we show somebody saying or doing something that can only be explained if they're drunk, but they're not. Here's this week's winner.
Is it war? World War I.
War.
Correct. World War II.
War.
Correct. The Vietnam War.
War.
Oh, I'm sorry, Carl. That was a congressionally authorized counteroffensive. Don't worry, we get right back on track with the Korean War.
War.
No, that was police action.
No, they had tanks and stuff.
Well, the police have tanks now, don't they, Carl? Okay, the First and Second Iraq War.
War.
They identify as military action. It's a bit like pronouns, except we kill people. All right, how about Libya?
War.
I'm sorry, that was kinetic action, not a war. Venezuela.
Well, it was an act of war, I think.
No, I'm sorry, that was a law enforcement operation, not a war. Iran.
It's a war. We're doing war things.
No, not war things. Preemptive retaliatory de-escalation action.
No, that's not a thing.
All right, judges. Okay, how about the war on terrorism?
War.
No, it was a coalition-led conditional operation. How about Afghanistan?
Afghanistan was the war on terror.
No, I'm sorry, that was a pre-authorized defense stabilization initiative.
Okay, can somebody tell me the rules here?
War on poverty, Carl.
Well, poverty? That's not even a thing.
I'm sorry, I hate to do this to you. It was a trick question. We don't have poverty in the United States. The Dow went up to 50,000. Couldn't even get that high. Amazing. Don't even worry about the Epstein files. War on Christmas.
The coffee cup thing? No, that's not a war.
It is a war for the soul of the nation and whether or not I can wish my children Merry Christmas.
Okay, you know what? I quit. I don't want to do this anymore.
Today's magical phrase, Carl, you just became a United States Congressman. Congratulations, Representative Carl. Merry Christmas.
It's March.
Well, okay, happy Hanukkah.
We want to be free to do what we want to do.
Yeah.
We want to get loaded. Yeah. And we want to have a good time.
All right. This week's winner is Reason Magazine for putting out that delightful video on what war apparently isn't, compared to what most folks think it actually is.
War is in the title.
They do well occasionally.
They do well occasionally. And that was a fantastic one.
Particularly when they have Andrew Heaton like that.
Yeah. Alison, I'm interested what your thoughts are on, like, what are you following with the Iran war and what's going on over there right now?
Listening to a lot of Iranian voices, and then of course also anti-Israeli war voices.
Yeah,
you know, there's so many moving parts to the geopolitical constellation, I guess you could call it, that I don't think any of us have the full picture. We're just sitting here like piecing together different vectors of it, trying to understand what's going on in the world around us. And then also like researching the influence of oil on the whole equation, and other countries' influences like China on like why we're doing what we're doing right now. So
especially with our interest in Venezuela right before this, which has a lot of oil.
Yeah.
So you destabilize one place that you get oil from currently, but then have a foothold in this new place magically, coincidentally, that has tons of untapped oil. It's annoying.
Yeah.
It's pretty wild.
There's a lot going on right now.
There is a lot going on right now. That is very true. Well, I'd like to intro you real quick. Is it cool with you if I read the epilogue of your book?
Oh, wow. The whole thing. Okay, go for it.
Awesome. Because I really liked I really liked the epilogue a lot. She says, here we are standing on the trembling edge of a great turning, a species split between short circuitry and soul, marching towards a future we can no longer fully imagine, let alone control. We've reached into the fire to play God again, like Prometheus offering flames to mere mortals. The pandemic was a planetary mirror, a fever that brought to the surface what had long been dormant in our collective system, revealing just how easily the human psyche can be colonized by ideological contagions. Not every virus kills the body. Some just rearrange the mind as we search for the medicine in the rubble. Y'all, it's from the book Social Contagion, written by Alison Lea Sher right here. Good book, very good book. Thoroughly enjoyed it. I thought you tackled, I mean, so many issues of things that have happened over the last 6 years. And a couple of the books that I've read recently, I've had to go back and read like dozens of pages over and over and over again to try to understand what the frick they're trying to say. I didn't have to do that with this book, and I really enjoyed that part of it. How you break down some of these more intricate, like complex ideas and boil them down into actual, like, into phrasing and paragraphs that I can actually understand quickly, easily. Like that's a talent, and I very much appreciated that aspect of your book. So thank you for that.
Yeah, I'm not trying to sound smarter than anyone. I'm just trying to communicate a message to anyone willing to read a book in this day and age. So yeah.
Heck yeah. First off, I'd like to know, I mean, you talked about it a little bit, but can you talk about like why this particular book and this particular subject?
Well, some people think World War III started during the pandemic, right? Certainly we found ourselves in an information war, a war on truth, a war on what the fuck is going on. And we definitely saw across the world, but since I was in America at the time, definitely like more ideological polarization and the beginning of the rise of extremism that is taken over the entire planet at this point, and Trump being very much a catalyst to the polarization and the propaganda machine. So yeah, I mean, I was just in lockdown and I was trying to figure out what was going on and reading as much as I possibly could. And then from like a personal level, it became family business because both of my parents work with international vaccine development and deployment closely with Fauci for many decades. So it hit home because my parents were crusading for this one ideological viewpoint that, you know, I wasn't really grokking, but there you are. It's still blood, right? You know, it's like it's blood and just the like what are the hills we're willing to die on? What's what battles are worth fighting? How do you stand your ground when you're being socially ostracized? How do you sense make what is real for you when you're making decisions like whether or not to put an experimental vaccine into your body, right? Or all the other different societal issues that flared up during that time. And I finished that book pretty much right when Trump got back into office. And so it was also like leading up to being like, hey, well, why did he get reelected? Seems like there's almost like an identity shift happening inside of the two political parties inside of America. People who once allied strongly with like liberal values were starting to see the cracks form in their party and being like, actually, maybe the conservatives are the rebels and the rock stars. But then, you also have people who have been conservative their whole lives and have been propelled into a more liberal position because of Trump and his policies and how just like brazen and violent he can be. But with every single current event, there is a partisan spin on it. And the spirit of it was just be like, hey, like I was saying before, none of us can really know what's going on. But by listening to all these different perspectives, we're starting to piece together maybe a more expanded viewpoint. And in that, can we depolarize? Like, can we, can we like choose peace with our neighbors who maybe see things differently? Seems like now we're not choosing peace. We're not choosing peace at all.
No,
but it definitely something that I purposefully left out in that book was more of the international politics that are really flaring up right now, because what we're seeing as far as like I can tell is just like a war between world orders, right? And even more so than that, it's like a religious war, which adds a whole other different flavor of insanity to people's just extremism, right? And like we see this mainly with the big three religions happening right now. America leading the Christian front, Christian nationalism under Trump, people really feeling like he's a messianic figure, biblical figure. And then, of course, with the Jews and the Muslims, like their own doomsday philosophies of that this all needs to happen in order for peace to prevail on earth and for their system to rule. So it's scary times. It's crazy. I mean, deep down, I'm like, okay, I'm like, just get rid of the biblical timeline and that story of the earth. No offense to anyone. I don't have a problem with religion, but like this aspect of religion is creates a lot of pain across the planet. I think, everyone's allowed their personal faith. It creates order in their lives, but this shit is crazy that we're dealing with right now.
Yeah. I mean, I would 100% agree with that. Stephen, I saw you nodding heavily during some of that. Do you have any thoughts on what she just said?
Well, yeah. I mean, just the tone throughout your book, it just seems like you're definitely receiving influence from multiple angles and possibly at times wrestling with the difference between them. And then you said it, that, your parents, your family being in biomedical and then, being part of something that, it's got to be tough, because then you turn on the news, you listen to the radio, and it's just, that's our enemy. And you're like, that's my family. That's not, what are you talking about? But then you apply that to, because then I like how you zoomed out and then went into the international geopolitics and just, because in your book, you mentioned something too about, the core wounds, like which core wounds is somebody going to defend? So whatever it is that's eroding the part of society that you're in and that you're a part of, people actually defend that part of it. It's interesting to think of too, and I'm glad you touched on that in the book, because it was like you see these people and like you understand this is nuts, right? Like the cognitive dissonance of like you just said with the religious aspect, like how are you using your religious beliefs of peace and love and kindness to go kill people? And so it's just, it's all these things at once. I really like that we're kind of just doing a scatter shot of all the topics, because I think if there was a call to action, correct me on this one if I'm wrong, but the call to action is just to think freely, just to observe information and make an informed decision before you react emotionally. Am I getting that right?
Totally. And whatever algorithmic silo you find yourself inside of with social media as you're gathering information, it's so easy to hook on to one narrative. But as soon as we do that, we're missing like a whole other side to the argument that is like we become, that's how we become radicalized. And social media, I'm now utterly convinced, is not a democratization tool. It's not a tool for self-expression. It's a tool for social engineering, and the way that it's designed is nihilistic, and it is designed to polarize us, and it is designed to stoke the flames of political violence and extremist violence. And unfortunately, like, it's where most people are getting their information, because it's not like the mainstream news is, it's not like we trust that anymore either. So we're in it's like a precarious time. And maybe another call to action of the book is when we're overloaded with information, as we are in this time, it can be like, it can lead to people feeling like incredibly helpless because there's no sense of agency, right? Like there's we're exposed to more and more information, but alongside that has not become like an expansion of our individual capacity to do anything about the things that we're reading about in this kind of watching the world burn up in flames and all these meta crises that we're dealing with that are interconnected in many ways. So like, how do we stay sane in this time, in this day and age?
That was so well put. We've touched on this a few times in the past, where like I don't think we've evolved to intake the amount of worldwide information that is now available to us at any given time. And instead of focusing on the things that are immediately around you, most people tend to focus on the broader national or international news that they can do nothing about, but they're drawn to it nonetheless. And I think you're exactly right. I think it creates a sense of helplessness, and something where you just feel like you don't matter at all.
It almost feels like it's by design, by people that don't want you to feel empowered to change the things at the local level.
It really does.
And we were talking about, things being like designed in a certain way and engineered in a certain way for like this, we're like doing this weird social experiment. And I find it suspicious that the CIA essentially developed Facebook before Facebook, right, and then basically like gave it to, this has happened with multiple things with like Facebook and Google Earth and different things like that. And like, I don't trust anything that comes out of the CIA. And so I think we are really being like pitted against each other basically. And there's like the little bubbles, the silos of thinking, and we're made to think that each other are the enemy of the other,
Yeah, we're also made to think that there can only be two views on something.
This is like the chocolate vanilla argument in like the Thank You for Smoking. Or whatever. I don't know if you've seen that.
Dude, that movie's so good. Actually, I need to rewatch that because it would have some very applicable things for right now.
When you present the argument as chocolate versus vanilla, then it's only this, and you defend it to the death, and the other one is just wrong. And it's like, don't even think about strawberry or pistachio or coffee or whatever. Like, it's just these two things, and if you're not with me, you're against me. That concept. That's not the words of the movie, but it's the concept. Like,
I was hoping you were going to name a disgusting ice cream flavor, but you didn't, so I couldn't attack that point.
Some people really hate pistachio and coffee, so I don't know.
Those are delicious.
I love them.
Yeah, Alison, you mentioned like algorithmic silos, and there was a moment in your book where I was like, I've never heard of this term before, which just made me think, okay, I'm definitely in like a very specific silo, and it was conspirituality. Like I'd never heard that term. And is that something that, like, a term that you learned a while back? Like, did it just come across in your algorithm? Because that's not something that I was ever privy to.
This might be my religion.
Well, I've been surrounded by hippies for a few decades now. So that was like another kind of interesting, almost like societal ideological inversion that I witnessed happening, of like all these spiritual people really latching on to right-wing conspiracies. And so there just so happens to be a term for that, which is conspirituality, right? And I talk about this in the book as well, that there's almost like a transcendental mental experience that people have when they're dot connecting and going really deep into these like conspiracy rabbit holes, which, a lot of the conspiracies I think are accurate, and a lot of them are part of the propaganda. So, right. True. So it's like, how do we stay grounded too, when like we're kind of like, some of us get high off that shit, we get high off of it. It's like a megalomaniac. It's like, well, I know everything. I know the truth. And something you said that was really interesting to me is like, I think because our individual agency has been eroded on such a deep level in this like expansion of information that we're exposed to daily, I think the agency that people think they have, the only agency they think they have, is to be a keyboard warrior and be like, if you think that chocolate ice cream is the best ice cream in the world, unfollow me right now.
Yeah.
Like, I don't want anything to do with you anymore. Get off my feed, right? Like, and just like how people just hide behind their words and their keyboard, and they create an atmosphere online, because we are like going online looking for information, trying to stay informed, trying to be good little democratic citizens, right? And what you see is just like such awfulness in the comment sections. But I also think that algorithmically that's highlighted in order to make you think that there's all this.
Also, a lot of it's bots.
Yeah,
a lot of
all this stuff really to like stoke the flames.
Some of the most aggressive comments, there's like not even a picture, you click on their account, they have one image and 2 followers, and they are just spamming these different like threads and just being really nasty and just trying to stir the pot. And like, I think that a ton of them are bots, which is frustrating.
Yeah, absolutely.
Or the other interesting part of that is when you know that now that Twitter has the account based in feature that you can look. Yeah. And you start seeing where these come from, and you see a whole lot of them. For some reason, they're coming out of India.
Oh yeah.
I wonder why that is. That's a strange development.
Well, have you thought about your car's extended warranty? Like, that's what really matters.
That's exactly right. Stephen, you were about to say something, I think.
Yeah, I was going to say Sean Parker mentioned a lot of this stuff when he left Facebook. So this was the guy that he was involved in Napster. Alison, I don't know if you're old enough to remember Napster, but that was back. Yeah, that was back when you could get free music without giving your computer AIDS. And
the LimeWire days was the computer.
Yeah, exactly.
I was there for those days. Yeah.
Yeah, but he was on the board of Facebook for a while, and when he left, he did a pretty public exit, and he got up there and was talking about the algorithms are actually gamed to make you feel lonely and desperate, and whatever it is that could erode your logic in your brain. Like, they actually had psychological testing at their headquarters on how they could manipulate your feed to actually trigger your dopamine release and your serotonin release and make you need more. But then also, after you scroll a certain amount of time, it will put you back down. Like,
that's why a lot of these people don't let their kids use.
Yeah. Well, because that was what was it, Steve Jobs? Yeah, the famous 60 Minutes interview with Steve Jobs,
Yeah.
where the reporter was like, "So what version of iPad do your kids have?" He's like, "They don't have that crap that rots your brains. I send them to a private school that reads books."
Yeah.
Dude, just that right
Exactly.
there.
No.
Like that should tell you everything you need to know about
Right.
social media. Nick, what do you got?
I don't have much right now.
Okay.
That's it.
Gotcha. I thought you
On
had.
this,
I thought you had started talking. That's my bad.
No, I didn't.
I'll speak for Nick because I wanted to say something that Allison brought up before. You said that you were kind of like touching on that now, like I feel like there's like this shift happening within or across party, and the concept of the conspiracy theorist. Like I feel like it used to be more of like a left-leaning kind of a thing, to be kind of hippy dippy and to be like, I'm gonna farm my own food and do whatever, and I don't trust the government. And then like all of a sudden we're in this world where it's like, nope, I'm not taking the vaccine, and I don't trust what's in the grocery stores, and I want my kids to homeschool or whatever. And it feels like now that's on the right, like, and the conspiracy theory. I feel like when I was growing up and I was looking into things like this and had my questions about like 9/11 and whatever else, I got a lot of flack from the right. My friends that were more Republican or whatever would, ridicule me for like whatever, posing some question or theory about something like 9/11. And then now I get a lot of flack from the other side, but I feel like I haven't changed. Like, I feel like I'm like, no, like I still have the same position or questions, or relatively speaking. And so I really do think we're potentially like living within this weird, like flip of the parties, like a polar flip kind of a thing. Like we've read about in textbooks before, where it's like, oh, once the Democrats were the Republicans and vice versa. And I feel like we're like living in that time. And I think some people are very value rooted and can maybe assess that. And I think this is almost like an experiment to see, are you more value rooted or are you more identity rooted? And are you going to support your party no matter what and actually change your values to fit that? Or are you going to leave the party? And I've seen a surprising number, like an alarming number of people, some in my own circles that I've witnessed over the years, I think really challenge and change their own values to stay aligned with the party system. And like the cognitive dissonance of that is like somehow easier to just with the party than it is to stay that way than it is with values. Like I don't know, it's upsetting.
Dude, I think it's a thing where like people find their friends a lot of times through political opinions and through like conservatism and progressivism and things like that. And so I don't think it's just about like abandoning or not having values or not having principles. I think the thought or the threat of losing basically your close friends and family will get you to do a whole bunch of things that you wouldn't normally do. And so if it comes down to you changing, whether silently or very publicly on social media, changing your views on something, your team is going to root that on if you're changing it to be more like them. And that's pretty powerful, man. Like I know that Alden, you're kind of somebody who bucks the system and doesn't give a crap. So I'm very similar. If people hate me, so be it. I don't really give a crap. But I don't think like my wife's not like that. Like I don't think most people are like that. We're the idiots who are like, okay, hate me, I don't care. But like most people need a lot more love, I think, than you and I maybe need. Although we probably need a lot more love. We just
I'm not very vocal online. Like I'm just the like quiet observer, like, and I'm just taking this in. And so I'm not like very boisterous about my opinion. So I've not like ruffled as many feathers that way, but I have put it together that I'm like, oh, like this, if you track this person across time, like someone, in friend circles and families or whatever, I'm like, that doesn't track with, and you're allowed to change across your time, but that's fine. But like, but I've just noticed quite a few times that someone will change their values to, I think, fall in line with like what the party is doing. And like my parents are some people that I think have done this, and they used to be like hippy dippy artsy people and were all about like free speech and whatever. And then when the lockdowns were happening and everything, they were basically just like, well, they shouldn't have said that dumb thing, and it's good they got canceled. That kind of attitude. And I was like, oh shit, guys, like that feels real different than what you literally raised me on like 20 years ago. It's not that long ago. And in the grand scheme of things, like, I don't know. It was hard to watch.
I mean, even more recently, I mean, you look at the Trump campaign, and you know, he campaigned on, I didn't start any new wars and we're gonna have peace, and at the same time he creates this board of peace and then turns around and attacks Iran. And then, you know, the sycophants, the people who are on board with him no matter what immediately flip from, and you see it, you know, people make memes that go around on Twitter of them taking, you know, two completely opposite positions, not 20 years apart, you know, a year, 2 years, whatever, just following in line with whatever's, you know, being said at that time. So, you know, and you see it on both sides, right? You see it from that side, you see it on the, you know, you see it on the left as well. So yeah, I do think that there's something to kind of just going with the crowd on that.
Yeah. Alison, your chapter, I think it's 5, Psychics for Trump. That chapter, it discussed QAnon a little bit and a few other things. And at the time of when QAnon was the biggest thing, I just kind of dismissed it as idiocy. But then after reading your chapter, I went and started doing some research on it. And I had no idea that people like truly believe that Trump is like a gift from God, and you have to, if you disobey Trump, you're disobeying God. And I didn't know it
like
had
a transitive property with Trump and God. That's wild.
Dude, it's some of the speeches that I've seen people give based solely on that topic alone. It was blowing my mind.
See, I don't follow QAnon very much, so I don't know as much about that. It's upsetting, but
yeah. Alison, was that something that like you were privy to and like you knew while it was happening, or is that something you had to learn as you were researching for the book?
Well, during lockdown, everyone's like, oh, this is happening. Oh, this is happening. And all this like hippies I hang out with, they're like, do you want to get red pilled, Alison? Do you want to get red pilled? I'm like, yes, I want to get red pilled. and so they sent me this video series that I wrote about in the book. It's called The Fall of the Cabal. And in it, they talk about what's coming out with the Epstein files, that like all the satanic pedo people in the government, which is now like, okay, that is true. Mm-hmm. But that was definitely like a core point of that movement, was that Trump was actually an outsider and he was trying to take down the swamp, right? And the swamp is,
even though there's pictures of him with Jeffrey Epstein from forever ago, but
I mean, there's, not to defend him, but like there is a lot of mixed stuff that I've been reading about, like to like what extent, because I think he did ban Epstein from Mar-a-Lago at a certain point, but
interesting.
Still, I mean, Trump's like a rabid sex offender, like that's pretty much proven at this point, like. But yeah, I mean, it's interesting because also like going into the larger geopolitical atmosphere. I recently just got back from the Middle East, and I was learning so much about just like their systems of government and how for thousands of years there is some kind of impulse inside of humanity to deify our political leaders and they're like God kings, right? And that is how people in the Middle East 100% view their leaders, regardless if they're, guilty of egregious human rights violations and, giant systems of oppression for kids and women and blah, blah, blah. It's like, it doesn't matter. Like they're so ingrained that like these leaders are they're appointed by God to carry out the reality that they feel like they have no they have no agency inside to change, right? So like in Islam, it's all about submitting to Allah. You just submit, you don't try to change anything. And in Judaism, it's all about like, you got to make the world a better place. So that's all about like development. And then like the Christians have their own, and Trump has just become this figure where people feel like he's on a divine mission, and all of his moves have this larger benevolent arc to them. When people are like, he's playing 5D chess, just wait, just wait. And then you talk about too, like going back to what you were saying, is like, what is more important, our need for attachment to the people we're attached to, or our need for authenticity? What's more important, our in-group affiliation and our moral narrative that we hold, saying like, hey, like my ideologies are the morally superior ideologies. But then like, you get into these rabbit holes and you get into these propaganda narratives. And then it's like, when are you willing to be like, hey, like Trump is not creating peace. It's like right in front of your face. I know you thought that he was, and so that's why you voted for him. And that was your moral reasoning. And that's what you truly believed with your heart and soul, that someone else was going to save us from this. It just feels like a mutually assured destruction in every single area, right? It's like we look at the world, we're like, who's going to fix it, right? And you're like, some godlike figure is going to come in and fix it, and that is something I think is part of our evolutionary biology. And I think that the reason why Trump has the support that he does is because he's been able to invoke that in the American population. Yeah,
that's pretty good. We've got a funny comment here. Cheddar Cheese says Trump isn't a liar. He didn't start the fire. It was always burning since the world's been turning.
Like, would this still be happening if Kamala had done it? Had been like, is this all part of a larger plan that like there was no? It didn't matter who was elected. Like this world war was going to happen. Right?
I don't think there's a larger plan, but I also do think that they have like enough leverage to hold sway over who is elected to a large degree. And I think that the plan probably was for this to happen the way that it did. But
because if Kamala was in there, we'd be paying like CO2 reparations to the rest of the world or something.
We'd still be at war too. I think there's no way on earth that this war. The only reason, so I didn't vote for Trump the first time around. I didn't vote for him the second time around. The only reason I voted for him the third time around was because he was anti-war and he hadn't started any new wars during his first term. And so that's what I wanted, that and Ross Ulbricht to be freed. That was literally it. And the fact that
you got half of it.
I got half of it. He capitulated within a year to now be at semi-start a possible world war. Not war. Leads me to believe that this was pretty much inevitable, and the powers behind the scenes were going to make this happen. And I don't know. Like personally, I don't really believe in democracy all that much. I don't think that it works all that well on a large scale. Actually, I don't think it works at all on a large scale. I think it works on a very small scale. And so like, I'm not even sure that how you vote in a presidential election is going to matter in the long term at all, because I think there's so many people that have been inside the government for so long that are not elected, that are in there for term after term after term after term, that you don't know their names. I think there's just a lot more going on here than we're able to have any actual input into. And, that could just be me feeling helpless, like we talked about before.
Well, it creates a lot of suffering living under the assumption that you live in a system where there is something you can do about all these things, right? Where in other systems, no one thinks that. No one thinks that in a one-party communist state. No one thinks that in an Islamic theocracy. No one's like, there's nothing I can do. But we as Americans, we believe that there's something we could do. We could talk about it. We can have these conversations. That's a lot more than a lot of people can have. But, you know, even this idea that like, okay, we live in a liberal democracy, and I would rather live in that than some of the other world orders that are, I think, trying to take America down right now. But at the end of the day, still, it's interesting because that's also the narrative that we use to justify the invasion of these other countries and the colonization
on the surface at least, yeah.
Countries, right? Because like we're morally superior, and in some ways we are. I think we are, but you know, someone told me this. It's an interesting thought. It's that these different systems of government, their efficacy is determined by the region of the world that they're in. Like socialism works well in the Scandinavian countries. Like it's just like not every single system of government is a good fit for every geographical region on the planet.
Yeah, I think geographical regions would definitely have something to do with it. I also think like
cultural
homogenous makeup of a certain, like I think a homogenous makeup of a country lends itself way more towards socialism than a place where it's like America, where it's all different cultures everywhere all the time. I think that's going to make it way more difficult for people to accept, oh, some of my taxpayer money is going to this thing that I vehemently disagree with, or, you know, vice versa. Whereas like in a country where most people have the same values or the same religion or the same ethnicity or what have you, I think that lends itself very well towards socialism. Not that I don't want to live in a fully socialist place.
Part of that homogeneity also, I think, comes down to population size, right? I mean, when you're talking a couple million people versus 300 million people or a billion, you know, that's when I think, you know, you start seeing those different values there. Well, yeah. Well, there's culture there too, right? I mean,
but it's more, the culture seems a little bit more like synonymous than, you know, somewhere that has maybe even a smaller population, but is more disparate in culture across the nation or whatever. But
Alison, one thing that I really liked about your book was I had like feelings on where you land on the political spectrum just in general, but it was never overt, and you seemed to tackle a bunch of stuff from multiple sides and give really fair analysis of certain situations, like, which is something you don't see very often anymore. Like somebody on the left giving Trump the benefit of the doubt, or somebody on the right giving Biden the benefit of the doubt. Like that just doesn't happen. That's something I very much appreciated. However, I would like to talk a little bit about what are your thoughts on the societal role of like government in people's lives? Like I'm interested in your personal take.
Ooh. I mean, I think when I was younger, I was pretty idealistic and more like anarchist. And then, you know, trying to like live in all these alternative, like I lived in this hippie commune, and it was like a total egalitarian polyamory, you know, like all these things, like people coming together in small little sizes and trying to create different systems of governance, and they all fail, and they're all a shit show. So on some level, I'm like, I guess it's a necessary evil. Like we have to have it. When is it overreach? When is it keeping people poor? When is it lifting people out of poverty? Like when is it, like where's that line with it? And you know, I guess in an ideal world we would think that our government wants what's best for the people, but I think most of us realize that's almost typically like not the case, right? So it's just, you know, it's like we don't want to live in a democracy. What would be better? I mean, maybe like one benevolent dictator would be better, like would be a better ruling system, but they would have to be benevolent and absolute power corrupts. Right?
Not even technically benevolent, because if you've got one leader there, then you've at least at least know where all the power rests and know where the problems go to.
Yeah. One leader can be taken out pretty easily. But I don't know. So I mean, I just feel like it's a necessary evil. I don't think we could really coordinate the complexity of our society, and especially in a globalized world without it. And it just seems like there's so many bad actors.
Yes, it does. It really does.
It does.
When it's everyone, when it's people on, both sides of the aisle in DC, and, the banks and all these large companies appearing in the Epstein files, hanging out with it. It's like, all these people are connected. And,
well, because they all have something in common, the lust for power. And that's what separates them from, the average. Most people in the country just want to get along and be nice and be left alone, really, at the end of the day.
And the lust for children.
But then, now there's the small subsection that doesn't want to leave people alone. They want to manipulate them. And those are the ones that grab the reins of power. And then, the ambivalent ones are just like, okay, well, you want it more than I do. Here, have it. Yeah. And that's just the natural dichotomy. And they've done experiments like that too, where they take, they take a billionaire, they take a guy that's worth, 8 figures, tens of millions. And then they take, just a middle class dude, and they drop him off on an island. And then, they come back like 6 months later, and that social order is already like totally reconstructed.
What experiment is this? That's crazy.
Yeah.
Can I be part of this experiment? This sounds great.
What billionaire is going to be like, yeah, I'll spend this much time on an island with this peasant? Like, that's crazy.
Well, because that was one of the things that Neil Borch used to talk about, that because that was they've done those things with various simulations, and that's
like the prison experiment or whatever. Or...
Yeah, I forget what it was called, but it did have a name. But that was after 6 months or after a year, that entire social structure is already back in place. Of like middle class guy just does what middle class guy does. The millionaires like the mid level management, and then the billionaires just kind of oversee. It's just
so the billionaires because they drinking out of a coconut. The middle class guy is building up a thatched roof. Like on the island.
Yeah, right, pretty much. Yeah. Well, I mean, obviously at first he's got to work, but then over time, because he has the ability to, I guess, for lack of a better word, manipulate. But that's just kind of how things go.
Is it those talents or like predisposing like characteristics of a person that bring you to that no matter where you're in, or is it because you've already been there and you see yourself as that, and that's like your identity now at this point that you want to bring yourself back to there? Yeah.
I think it's part of that.
All of the above. Yeah.
I agree with that. I think that some people are definitely like natural leaders, like not necessarily craving power. I think some people are born with characteristics that naturally push them towards being a leader, or at least they're able to much quicker than others. But then for those people, as we've seen, like there are plenty of leaders over the centuries that I think were probably decent people before they got in power, and then, like Alison said, absolute power corrupts. Absolutely, like it's
or you either die a hero or live long enough to see yourself become the villain.
How many times have we quoted that dadgum line on this show? Dadgummit.
Well, what I'm hearing you guys say is that there is some sort of self-organizing principle.
Yeah.
Society that isn't governmentally imposed. It's just part of biology. It's like, how much can you fight evolution at the end of the day?
Well, and this is like what got Jordan Peterson in trouble, suggesting that we have the same nervous system that evolved like the same way from lobsters or whatever, and that lobsters have a hierarchy no matter what you do with them, and and that he's like, we will find the hierarchy. We're like wired to do it, and apparently that was, I don't know, not okay to say, but
yeah. And Alison, you were talking earlier about like government being a necessary evil. I think that any system that a society has in place to structure their society, I think that every single one will be corrupted, manipulated, and ruined at some point in time. Like, I don't think there's such thing as an ideal scenario, because I think an ideal scenario, you have to work at it. Like, two people, let's just take a marriage, for instance, like two people who love each other, who agree to spend their lives together, can end up in some of the worst possible situations imaginable. Like, husbands trying to have wives murdered and vice versa, and like that people can end up hating each other. And those are two people who chose to live together and be a part of a union. Like, I think that everything deteriorates over time unless you work really, really hard in order to preserve it. And I think that people get really complacent. People take things for granted. People don't understand that it actually takes a lot of work in order to preserve something that is meaningful and beautiful. And I think that no matter what the system is, it's not going to be forever, and it's going to crash and burn at some point in time. I think the key is to enjoy it while it lasts, try to preserve the things that are good, and live within your locality. Like, don't focus so much on the exterior. Yeah, go ahead.
Follow up on what you're saying.
Yeah.
So I agree there's work, but I wanted to stress the idea of not just work with two people, like externally communicating and whatever. I would argue, a lot of work to be done independently, individually. And when you are your best, healthiest self, and you're emotionally regulated, and you know what you want in a person and in a partner and in your own life, and I think you're more, when you're able to pick a partner from that healthier place, I think then it's actually much less work when you are actually more aligned with the person that you're with. Not to say there's not going to be work, but I think that that's the kind of work that maybe makes the biggest difference. And that is basically to say, to extrapolate this out on this, talking about governments and populations and people, if we were able to do, I think, that work with ourselves, if we were all more, this is actually kind of a libertarian concept, I guess, if we were all independently more like in control of ourselves and can support ourselves and make ourselves happy, and not necessarily looking to another person to fulfill that happiness, or a government or a whatever, then I think that sets you up better to not be in a place of need like that the same way, and to then be like, it's almost like a Maslow thing, like the hierarchy of needs too. Like, if you're constantly in like the struggling survival state, then you're never going to be able to, get out from under that and experience, the true, like, the riches of life outside of needing to be like warm or fed or loved or whatever, like, it's just. So anyway, I think it's something to just to add on to, it's like a yes and to what you were saying.
Yeah, for sure. We have a really good comment. Delta Fish says, is it the Pareto principle where basically 80% of the consequences come from 20% of the causes? That is the Pareto principle. And yeah, I like that. That's such a good point for, if
I've been saying Pareto for years. Is it Pareto?
I thought it was Pareto, but
never mind. I don't know.
I've said pair two.
That's probably it. Yeah. The pair two principle.
The pair two principle. Yeah, you're definitely from Georgia, Stephen. Thank you for that. Yeah. No, that's a very good. I mean, I've been taught that in like, Stephen, you and I have done some PBD workshops and stuff. They talk about the Pareto principle and that.
The 80, 80% of your production comes from 20% of your workers.
Yeah, and so that's definitely something to keep in mind when you're trying to.
Apparently, if you're trying, like, parietal, we're all wrong. So
what?
I don't know. I just looked it up.
Parietal?
Yeah,
I think that's something different.
No, that's got to be something different. Alden.
Maybe it is.
That doesn't make any sense.
I was like,
unless they're just completely bastardizing the English language, I don't really care for that. Yeah. Okay, so I'm interested in, I one of our topics here is inevitable outcomes, and we've kind of touched on it a little bit. I underlined so much in this book. I gotta find where I was before. Okay, so it was chapter 1. I think it was chapter 1. Dadgum, this was a while ago. Maybe it was before it's chapter 1. It was like the fourth page of the book. You started talking about capitalism, and I'll just read the paragraph. Good and evil also exist in the eye of the beholder. For instance, some might consider the drive to prioritize profit over the sacredness of life to be evil. If that's true, then the entire system of capitalism could be seen as evil, because it's a system that requires us to generate profit to survive, and this excess of capital often comes at the expense of other forms of life. Yet capitalism is also a system that has lifted more people out of poverty than any other, which could be seen as good. The virtues of capitalism are what one side of the culture war seems to be fighting for, while the other side is fighting against its vices. This is something we've talked about ad nauseum.
Yeah, I was
on
going to
this
say,
show.
it's too bad Zane's not here. But...
Yeah, if our fifth guy was here tonight, which we try only to have 5 or fewer people on the show, because then people start talking over each other and it gets to be a mess. He would have a long rant on capitalism and its virtues. I think one thing that I don't know about Stephen, Nick, and Alden, but as far as like me personally, I think that I think capitalism, in my opinion, is more of a amoral system where it can be co-opted for good or evil. And I think it's something where capitalism isn't something to live by. It's a structure in which to build a prosperous society. But if you do so without having any type of moral or ethical grounding, it's going to turn into exactly what we see right now, which is corporatism, cronyism, and all these massive companies getting involved in like lobbying the government and getting their way. And that in the end, that does exactly what it's doing right now, which is screwing over the middle and lower classes of the country.
It's almost like just what before with like deitizing a political figure, where it's like kind of this poor substitution thing, or like it's filling this space that humans are supposed to have. And if you're like supposed to have ethics and morals and principles, but you don't have that like fleshed out in your life very much, and if this takes that place, it's a poor substitute for those things. If capitalism becomes your everything, like your reason for working is just to make money, then that's probably not a good idea. But
yeah, I very much appreciated the fact that you showed, like I mentioned before, that you showed both sides of it, because that's something that people on the left won't do and people on the right won't do. They won't show that, oh, capitalism can be co-opted to do evil things, whereas on the, then vice versa. So what
a car can bring you home with milk or run someone over, like it's
there we go. What's your thoughts on what I just spoke about, like capitalism being an amoral system? Like, you have thoughts on that?
Well, we're in late capitalism, right? Late stage capitalism. So there's like a hemorrhaging of it away from, what was it, Adam Smith, right? Like, what is that? The Wealth of Nations. What was it?
Yes, that's Adam Smith.
Yeah, right. Like, these the early philosophers. It goes into individualism, collectivism. Like, what's the higher virtue there? We see that too. And then it's like, can it be reformed? Is there such a thing as conscious capitalism? Are we going to is capitalism going to become somewhat obsolete with AI? And then we'll be put on some universal basic income. And then we'll be like, oh man, maybe capitalism wasn't so bad. Like, and then we're like, well, I want to work or all these things. Right. So
yeah,
I've definitely grappled with these topics inside of myself. I think probably where most people end up is that we haven't thought of anything better.
Similar to democracy, what we were just talking about. It's not perfect, but what is better? Yeah,
it's not. And there's examples of things that are worse, right? So it's like, just be grateful. But I think it's important to make that to distinguish the stage of capitalism that
the merging of it with our government a little too much, I would say, to maybe my libertarianness is showing or whatever, but where
too much for me would be at all. So yeah, go
right.
ahead.
Yeah, I would love to see an example of clean capitalism. But go ahead.
Let's pause real quick because Alison, I told you that Zane would go on a rant. Zane's in the comments.
Oh God!
And here are his consecutive comments. I told you. Like, Zane's going on a rant in the comments section right now.
Okay.
Yeah, I just wanted to make the point, and I think part of that, I don't even tend to like to use the word capitalism because it does get into that. Well, one, it was a Marxist term, it was the Marxist defined term. And a lot of the times it is looped in with what we see, this cronyist system here. The companies pay lobbyists to to write bills that favor them. I mean, we saw that Obamacare. We see it just all the time whenever regulations are coming through. How do it ends up in rent seeking because the government does have the power on that regulation and it's not left there to the market. So, and that's what everyone's told. Yeah, we live in a capitalist society, so everyone's told this is capitalism, and that's not how you or I would use the term. So I generally just try to say free markets on it, but
similar to democracy, we don't even live in a true democracy, but we're told we do, and
we never did though. That was the thing.
Well, right, yeah, but
yeah.
It's just a funny way that like we've just almost been propagandized to think that that's what this is, and that's what it looks like, and the same with capitalism, and it's like it's not fully true, but
Delta Fish says capitalism goes bad when tainted by a powerful state. That's definitely true. And he also says, let's call it free market.
Yeah.
And I remember reading a study some time ago that some poli-sci class was doing, and it was, what kind of political structure are we actually under? Because we're told constitutional republic, we're told democracy and all this kind of stuff. And they did an analysis, and it was actually a corporate oligarchy was what we were closer to. Because it was, because it was just based on, the accumulation of wealth. Far fewer than 20% of our entities control far more than 80% of our assets.
Mm-hmm.
So at that point, there's a massive imbalance. And that's where you get a lot of these, let's call it inevitable outcomes, right? Because you have these people pulling the levers of power at the top to maintain power above all else. So if there is another system to come in place, Alison, it's probably going to be a little worse because the guys that have all this stuff now, you think they're just going to let go of it for less? No, it's just it just doesn't make sense. And I'm with you, Jake, that capitalism is an economic principle. We'll call it free market, but it's economic principle, so it's not an overarching ideology. It's not a moral code to live your life by.
Right.
And if you do,
it could be a means to those ends, but
you're using the wrong tool for the wrong job at that point. If that's your moral code, and that's when things go wrong as well.
I think that's a common problem we see even in the libertarian space, right? You've got a whole lot of people who kind of decide that libertarian principles, well, as long as you're not hurting someone, then that's good, right? The moral judgment is, as long as you're not violating the principles, then it's a morally good act. And I think that's one thing I've been fighting for a while now, is saying, I don't think you can base, and I think we've all been doing that to some extent or the other, that no, this is how this is a political philosophy. It's not a moral philosophy, and you kind of have to root that somewhere else.
Yeah, it has one moral tenet, which is don't instigate aggression onto other people. Other than that, you should not base your morality off any political system or any political idea, because that will end in disaster.
Similar to what I was saying before about being autonomously, like independently, sort of like in control of your own like ethics and morals. Don't look to your political system for that, like to tell you like how to be or whatever in that way.
Yeah. Alison, I think your book is good. I really enjoyed it. And what do you got next? Like, I know you're a journalist. You have a Substack, which we'll bring up here in a little bit.
Okay, I never post on it, but thanks. Yeah, still subscribe. I've been posted on it in a long time. What's next for me? I mean, it's a lot of work to pump out one of these bad boys. And I think I might not write about politics in my next book because there's such a fatigue, right? And like you were saying, like you can't really attach to any of these concepts anyways because they end up violating that, what you want to call it, the golden rule eventually, right? As soon as you do. But yeah, I think I'll take a little bit of a siesta and
children's book.
and you know, like really hope things go okay out here in the world, and then maybe I'll write a book about sex or something more like I don't know, like something more enjoyable and also scary, but yeah, so
sure.
maybe I'll write a sex book, but like from a perspective of like that drives a lot of what's going on here too. I always write about like sociology and psychology and the collective consciousness, I guess you could say. But yeah, I mean, if I could say one thing else too, is just like having come back from the Middle East, all the things that we are just sitting here talking about, and that we even get to critique our government in this way and be like, what is it? And all these things I realized, I'm like, there's so many problems with America and these ideas that we do have these like rights here and these freedoms here. Even if like the free world feels like a prison cell sometimes, like it's so much worse over there. So as I'm listening to these Iranian voices and you know, the side of the narrative is like that we're saving them in some way with this like attempted regime change and things like that. It does.
That's what they're saying there.
Springs. It pulls on my heartstrings. I like wanted to believe that it possibly. Oh, Delta Fish is like, if I need a research assistant for my you want to do some field research, Delta Fish?
Where were you for the research on the government book? But
yeah, like you know, there is a lot to be grateful for too, and I think that helps keep me, you know, somewhat sane in this.
Yeah,
yeah.
You're not wrong. Like I've traveled much of the world, and there are very few countries that I would think about like relocating to. Like it's a very, very short list.
El Salvador.
I mean, El Salvador would now be one. Back in the day, it definitely wouldn't be one. So it's a little different now. That's one thing that I definitely wish more people could do is experience things outside of what they live in, because it would give you an appreciation for what we have here, even though it's not perfect, because nothing on earth is perfect. What we have here is overall pretty dang good, and still fight for the change that you want to see and fight for the good stuff, but understand that life is not terrible if you're living in the United States in general. Like it's a pretty good spot to live. And as much as us libertarians whine about it, we just want ultimate freedom, which probably will never come. But you know, we're going to fight the good fight anyway. Stephen, it looked like you were about to say something. Did you have anything to say?
You were just talking about how it's, you know, collectively bad around the world compared to the US, and that was, you know, we're talking about conspirituality earlier. My wife is kind of allergic to mine, you know, because I'll say things when we were first dating, that was when InfoWars actually had a Roku app. And they had you know, they had a nightly news thing, and they were going on about like the Epstein type stuff, and they're going around like Planned Parenthood clinics, and that was when they were selling the organs on the international markets at that time. And so she's watching this stuff. We're on like our third date, which, yes, I was that guy.
But she chose you anyway.
Exactly. Yeah. And so it was just, yeah, maybe it was inevitable. I don't know. But then she's like, oh, is it time to go? Is it burning down now? Is it time to leave? And I'm like, sweetie, where are we going to go? Like, you know, if like we're on the ship right now. Like if this is going down, it's all just going down. I don't know what to tell you.
Yeah. That's fair enough.
That's such a good point. Alison, let's see. Your Substack, it's called Culture Wars. It's AlisonLeaSher.substack.com. Your website is AlisonSher.com. It's got your book on here along with a bunch of other things you've done. So go check out her website, everybody. It should be, I think it's in the description of the episode. So go click on that. Go check her out. Go subscribe to her Substack. And so on this show, I'm going to give you another little outro here in a second for you to say whatever you want to say before trivia. But we do a little bit of we call it Libation Nation Trivia, where we just have a trivia game. It's 3 rounds. It's about 16 questions or so, and it's completely random. And if you would like to stick around and play, we would love to have you. If you can't, we understand. But if you'd like to stick around, we're going to do that next. But before we do, where can people find you? And yeah, what's something that you would want to tell, aside from what we just talked about, which I thought was wonderful? What's something you would want to tell folks out there who have lost hope or lost or feel that helplessness that we talked about earlier? Like, what's something that you would want to tell them?
Right. It's like this desire for control in the midst of like so much chaos and uncontrollable stuff happening around us. But what does that look like for you? Does that mean going out into nature and sitting down? Does that mean like putting a blocker on your app to just stop yourself or from your phone to stop yourself from scrolling and like playing into this information inundation that is messing with our mental health? Is it just picking up your phone and calling someone you haven't talked to for a while and having an authentic conversation? Like what are how are we going to stay human in the midst of like all that's like we're about to come into, especially with the AI stuff? It's just like we gotta figure out how to stay human. So yeah, that's it. That's all I would say, right?
I love it. Yeah, do you want to stick around for trivia, or do you need to jet?
I think I'm gonna head out, but I've had such an amazing time meeting you gentlemen, and yeah, I would be happy to come back again if you ever wanted to hang out again.
Whenever you
Allison. Yeah, whenever you write your next book,
handle on my website. Yeah.
Well, Allison, it's been an absolute pleasure. I really appreciate you coming on. I know you had to hustle from your function before the show, so really appreciate it. I love that you wrote this book as well as a few others. Go check out our website, everybody, and give her a follow on Substack and buy her books. So go check it out. All right.
Thank you.
Thank you, Allison. We'll see you next time. All right, everybody. Welcome to Libations Trivia. I am your host this week. Zane can suck a butt. I'm not going to take a single answer section. We'll see if that holds true. I feel like the audience would rip me a new one if I didn't take any of Zane's answers. So
we know the audience is gonna win if you take Zane's answer, so you gotta like limit him to 2 answers.
That's entirely fair. All right, y'all. Let's see. I had Allison's name on here, but I got to take it off. I also forgot to update the topics. The topics are not Georgia Tech and volleyball, so ignore that.
That's good. Although I might remember enough that I could theoretically maybe do better.
I would find a way to do worse.
Fair enough. All right, y'all. Let's get started. Y'all know the rules. We're not going to go through the rules. The first audience answer is the answer for the entire audience. 3 rounds.
Unless it's an obvious joke.
Question number, well, I don't know.
It depends on if we're losing.
Actually, I'm going to consider all of Zane's answers a joke. That's what it is.
The joke, it's like in the eye of the beholder, you know?
Yeah, the joke is in the eye of the beholder. I think that's accurate, actually, on multiple levels. So we'll go with that. All right, question number 1. On this day in 1933, as reassurance to the American people, FDR makes his first of many broadcasts known as what? Also realized I've done this whole episode on a VPN, which I didn't think was possible to do and still maintain a good connection. So I'm happy to know this, and I'm very excited to keep my VPN on from now on. This is great. All right, Steven, what do you got?
I'm going to say, and there was a beer that was inspired by this. There's a 21st Amendment Brewing, but Fireside Chat.
All right, Nick, what do you got?
Yeah, I wanted to answer propaganda bullshit, but yeah, I said Fireside Chat.
Alden, what do you got?
I had no idea, so I said, Shh, it's okay, go back to sleep, America.
Well, sadly for Alden, the answer is Fireside Chats.
Darn, I thought I had it.
Yours is better. I much prefer that answer. All right, question number 2. On this day in 1894, Coca-Cola began selling their product for the first time in what kind of container? To be fair, to be specific, it's the first time they've sold it in this container, not the first time they've sold it and it's in this container.
Okay.
Yeah. It's the element, not the element, I don't know.
The medium.
The medium and the name of the actual thing itself. All right, Steven, what do you got?
The glass bottle.
All right, Nick?
I'm saying the aluminum can.
Alden?
I said glass bottle, but I bet it's aluminum can. Goddammit.
You said glass bottle. Oh, it is glass bottle.
Oh, it is? Okay.
Yeah. How about that?
What was it before?
I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Like just barrels?
You just buy barrels of it.
Yeah,
it's just
like a lead cup.
Cocaine lines.
The audience says vape cartridges. That's so good. Okay. All right. Question number 3. On this day in 1930, who began their 241-mile civil disobedience march? Your hint is that this did not take place in the United States. Zane is being a know-it-all. He's saying before bottles, it was probably just at soda fountains. Not sure.
Go away, Zane.
Soda fountains.
They had fountains before bottles?
Yeah, I don't think so. There's no way they had soda fountains in 1894. So, Zane, give me some proof. I'm just going to keep railing on Zane. It's going to be great. All right, Steven, what do you got?
Terra Humera.
Nick, what do you got?
I'm going to say Gandhi.
Alden?
I mean, I said the Dalai Lama. I have no idea.
All great guesses. The audience says Gandhi, and it is Mohandas Gandhi.
Yeah, the Terra Humera is that tribe in Mexico that they drink this corn liquor and they just run all day. They can run like 60 miles a day, something crazy.
That might be Adderall.
Okay.
Yeah.
Adderall.
Okay.
Question number 4. On this day in 1938, Germany annexes which country? March 12th, 1938, Germany annexes which country? All right, Steven, what do you got?
Poland.
Nick.
I'm going with Czech.
Alden.
I also said the Poland.
The audience is the only one who got it right, and it's mother effing Zane again. It is Austria.
Yeah.
Okay,
All
he's
right.
done putting answers in, right?
Well, Zane, you
Good
used
day,
up all
mate.
your answers. See you later, Zane.
Let's put another shrimp on the barbie.
Yo, I think I can ban people. Oh, y'all, I can put Zane in a timeout.
Yeah, put him in a 10-minute timeout.
The Fed timeout.
Zane is banned and their comments were removed.
Comments are removed.
Zane, you're gonna have to go over to Rumble
You're gonna
if
have
you
to make
want
a
to
new
do
account.
this. I didn't realize it was gonna ban him. It said timeout. It didn't say ban.
That's stupid
Dude,
wording.
the audience is definitely going to get angry that we kicked Zane out. Okay.
I didn't know what that button
Watch,
did.
he's gonna go pop on stream now.
Yeah, he's gonna go get on Rumble.
He's just gonna show up here, I think.
All right. All right. Question number 5. On this day in 1945, Hitler executes which general for plotting against the Reich? You'd have to be a history buff to know this, but some people are.
I have not hit World War. I am not a World War II boomer historian.
Fair enough. You haven't reached the
I have not
Shane
reached
Gillis
boomer.
level.
I have not reached boomer yet. Yeah.
All right, Steven, what do you got?
Tom Cruise.
That's so funny.
Nick, what do you got?
Goebbels.
Alden.
I said Valkyrie. Which, or what's
Hilarious.
His name?
The audience
Tom
also
Cruise?
said Tom Cruise. Cheddar Cheese also said Zane has begun his 240-mile march now. It's General Friedrich Fromm.
That's what I said.
That is what
Yeah,
you
that
said.
wasn't on my top.
I'll give you a point, but only on the private. Question number 6. On this day in 1968, what was discovered in Alaska's Prudhoe Bay that would change the landscape of the state forever? On this day in 1968, what
Change the
was
landscape.
discovered in Alaska's Prudhoe Bay that would change the landscape of the state forever? Steven, what do you got?
Oil.
Nick.
I wanted to say polar bears, but yeah, I says oil.
Alden, what do you got?
Oh.
Audience hasn't answered yet. I'm going to count it if it comes in the next 10 seconds. They seem to be on a delay now.
That's what
It
happens
is
when you kick Zane.
oil. All right. Nick, Steven, Alden. Audience got it.
I got my second point.
Audience got it right as well. Question number 7. On this day in 1969, London Bridge. No, London. Sorry. I don't know why I said bridge. London police conduct a drug raid on which Beatles home?
Oh, man.
On this day in 1969, London police conduct a drug raid on which Beatles home? This is a multiple choice answer, y'all. There's only 4 answers. Possible
Well,
answers.
unless you consider the second Paul McCartney.
Yeah, I was about to say the same thing.
Really?
Oh, shut up. Shut your dumb mouths.
Oh, man.
Actually, there technically is more than 4 answers, but we'll get to that here in a little bit. Steven, what do you got?
John Lennon.
Nick?
Yeah, I felt like the obvious choice is John Lennon.
Alden?
I was like, whichever one they killed, so John Lennon, you know.
Delta Fish says Billy Shears. Who the frick is that? It
Was he
ain't
the
him.
drummer? Was he the drummer before Ringo?
Is it fucking George Harrison?
It's George Harrison.
I don't
Yeah.
even know why they cared enough about him to rate a song, you know?
So it wasn't, it was a tip that had to do also with violence of some sort. I can't remember, some hostage, but it was a lie. Not like it wasn't real.
Okay.
So he got the original swatting.
This is an extra.
He got the original swatting. Yeah. He got swatting before it was swatting. All right. Question number 8. Final question of round 1. On this day in 2020, which division of entertainment officially went dark because of lockdowns and COVID? So this is the specific sector within the entertainment industry. So, you know, just think you got, you know, live entertainment, you got movies, you got sports, you got all of that. So which division of entertainment officially went dark because of lockdowns and COVID? All right, Steven, what do you got?
The XFL.
Nick, what do you got?
That deserves
I
a
don't
point.
know. I said movie theaters, but I have no idea what this question.
All right, Alden.
I said live music because I had tickets to see Tool that year and several other bands that were already fucking purchased, and I didn't get to go. So if it's not that, I'll be mad.
It is not that.
Well, then I'm mad.
Audience says Tijuana pony shows.
No, those are still very much a thing. No, I'm kidding.
Best answer.
And the actual answer is Broadway. Live stage show.
But did anyone notice?
No, and they never noticed that they're back either.
Cheddar Cheese says porn was free. That's all I remember. Goodness gracious. After round one, Libation Nation is currently in the lead with 5. Nick and Steven are tied at 3. And Alden has a big fat 2. Dropping a deuce. Round 2 is all about the Beatles. Question number 1. What was the original name of the band before they became the Beatles? What was the original name of the Beatles before they became the Beatles? And can I just say, like, the cover art for Social Contagion was fantastic.
It's cool.
Yeah.
It was actually designed by a human, not by a dadgum AI. So whoever did this, I forget your name. You did a great job. Oh, mother effer. Zane is back in the YouTube comment section. You only get banned for 5 minutes, I guess.
Oh. You tried.
Well, after his next answer, you can ban him again for 5 minutes.
All right, Steven, what do you got?
Rainbow Butt Monkeys.
Yeah. My favorite band.
Dude, I got to re-implement the one where if it makes me laugh the hardest, that gets a point.
Like if
Nick,
all of us get it wrong or something.
Yeah.
I think there's an answer, but I said the Beatles.
That's what I said. I said the Beatles minus the A. I have no idea, but
well, the audience gets it. Both of them got it, actually. It's the Quarrymen.
I knew the Led Zeppelin one, the group that was like kind of the pre-Zeppelin was like the Yardbirds or whatever, but I didn't know the Beatles one.
Yeah, Rainbow Butt Monkeys was actually pre-Sugar Ray.
Is that
Rainbow? No way is that a real thing. You're just making that up.
No, I'm dead serious. Mark McGrath was the lead singer.
I mean, we had the Butthole Surfers.
Steven, that would have been way funnier if you didn't try to defend it afterwards.
See, now you lose a point.
Yeah, that point you would have gotten is gone. Screw you. You didn't go into the comedy. Question number 2. Who was the drummer prior to Ringo Starr? Who was the drummer of the Beatles prior to Ringo Starr? It was extremely early. You'd only know this if you were really into the Beatles.
It was the devil.
Cheddar Cheese on the last one said Foggy Beach Boys.
That's pretty funny.
All right, Steven, what do you got?
Your mom.
Well, she could
actually. It was one of the Beatles' moms that gave him the name for the Beatles. I think.
That's hilarious. Nick, what do you got?
Well, I at one point knew this, but I can't remember. So I'm picking a very British name and saying Winston Churchill.
That's a funny thought.
Alden.
This is so obvious. It's Dave Grohl.
Dave Grohl. Yeah. Perfect. The audience gets it. It is Pete Best.
Well, he really wasn't that good, was he?
Yeah. Nick and I are on the same page today.
Question number 3. Which Beatles album is often considered their masterpiece and was released in 1967?
It's not my favorite, but I have an answer.
It's not my favorite either. And you don't have to get the entire name because it's way too long. I don't expect you to write it all out. So,
well, that makes me more confident.
Alden, what do you got?
I mean, now I already wrote the White Album.
Pens up.
What now? I'm thinking.
What do you got?
Sergeant
Pepper's.
Pepper or whatever the.
Nick, what do you got?
Sergeant Pepper.
I
it is
thought
Sergeant
the White
Pepper's
Album,
Lonely Hearts Club Band.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I thought the White Album was the one that was like considered to be their their best or whatever, but
it's largely considered, and I also put in the date, the year, so that
totally
it would narrow
fair,
it down. Yeah. Because you're right. Some people do consider the White Album, but it's not. Not everybody.
I like Revolver.
But also, when you said the name's really long, so don't worry about writing the whole thing. I kinda.
I knew I was wrong at that point.
That was my bad. I should not have given that hint, but it didn't matter.
Yeah.
Question number 4. On the album Rubber Soul, George Harrison introduced what instrument? So it was just it's a new instrument for the band. It was not a new instrument.
He invented
overall.
an instrument.
He did not invent an instrument. On the album Rubber Soul, George Harrison introduced what instrument? Delta Fish says Sgt. Pepper's Lonely Hearts Club Band is terrible. Or maybe he was talking about the White Album. I don't know.
I'm not a huge
Or just the Beatles in general.
Look, I gotta say, I'm not the biggest fan of the Beatles. Like, I
think they're
understand
massively overrated.
They're massively overrated. Plus, they're just socialist lunatics. Like,
I like
all their
individual
songs
more than like
yes,
full albums more. Like, like I love like certain pieces. Like Tomorrow Never Comes is like a crazy, way ahead of its time song.
I like Yellow Submarine, but that's just me.
That's such a weird song to like. It's so stupid.
I only like it because of Arrested Development.
Oh, fair. Okay.
Even what do you got?
Kazoo.
Nick, what do you got?
Well, they had that whole India thing at one point, right? So I'm saying a sitar.
Alden, what do you got?
I spelled it wrong, but I said sitar as well.
Audience gets it as well. It is the sitar.
It should have been the kazoo.
I agree with you there. That would have made me like them way more. All right. Question number 5. Which Beatle wrote and sang lead on the song Yesterday? Great movie, by the way. If you haven't seen the movie Yesterday, highly recommend checking it out. It's not a documentary. It's like a make-believe. It's a make-believe world where the Beatles don't exist, but one guy remembers the Beatles from another dimension.
Oh,
and
so it's
he
like
starts performing all their songs and gets huge.
So it's like a what do they call that? Oh my god, I'm blanking.
Mandela effect.
Thank you.
Okay, yeah, something like that. All right, which Beatle wrote and sang lead on the song Yesterday? Steven.
Paul McCartney.
Nick.
McCartney.
Call McCartney.
There we go. Audience says Paul McCartney. It is Paul.
Apparently, that song came to him in a dream, according to him.
Interesting. Final question of round 2. In what year did the Beatles perform their famous rooftop concert, which was their last public performance? Closest gets it. If multiple people get the same distance from it, you both get the points. What it should be is the closest people get canceled out, and then it's the next person that gets it. That would annoy everyone. All right, Steven, what do you got?
1978.
All right, Nick.
72.
Alden.
I went early. I went 68.
60. Alden, you would have gotten the points had the audience not gotten it spot on.
Oh. I erased 69 and put 68. I'm such an idiot.
Of all the things to erase, you erased 69?
I thought it was because I was just being a perv, you know? And so I was like, well, let me go with a different number. Damn it.
Goodness gracious, man.
Yeah.
I never have expected you to erase that number.
I should have left it. I
Embrace
didn't get drunk enough
your
or I would've left it.
pervitude, man. That's great. All
Damn
right.
it.
After 2 rounds, Libation Nation 17, Nick 9, Steven 7, Alden 6. It is.
I wasn't going to win anyway.
It's still anybody's game. If Libation
it's
Nation
not.
doesn't get a single one and Alden gets all of them, it's Alden's victory.
Hold on.
That would be the day.
We ban Zane before the round.
Maybe I'll
5
just
minutes.
look, y'all. I'm actually having trouble seeing certain letters on screen right now, so maybe I just won't see Zane's answers. We'll see.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
Okay. So no answers have the letter Z in them. Got it.
Question number 1. What is the many of these are numbers questions. So what is the approximate length of the Trans-Alaskan Pipeline System, the TAPS? What is the approximate length in miles? Yes. The Trans-Alaskan
in oranges
Pipeline System.
How many oranges long?
Oh my gosh. I'm trying to do the math in my head right now.
Math.
How many oranges do you think make a foot? Like 4? 3? 3.
Are we talking California navals or
navel orange or
3?
Like
I'd say 3.
Angelo or
I'd say 3.
Yeah.
3 times 280 times
so what, roughly 20,000 oranges per mile?
I've got I put it on the screen. Whoops. Unless you can do really quick math, you're not going to understand what that was. Okay. Steven, what's your answer?
That would be 3,000 miles.
Nick,
That's
what's your
literally
answer?
what I wrote to the number.
583.
Well, Nick is the only one who got anywhere close to it. It is 800 miles. And the answer for how many oranges is 12.67 million.
Oh, God.
Let's see. Nick.
I was trying to think of the distance from Fairbanks to Prudhoe Bay.
Yeah, that's fair. It's only 800 miles. Question number 2. Which major oil spill occurred in Prince William Sound in 1989? This is more of a first round question. I apologize, everybody.
Yeah, this is definitely a first round question.
Whatever. All right, Steven, what do you got?
Exxon Valdez.
Nick.
Exxon Valdez.
I knew I was missing something. I said Exxon Mobil, but it's Exxon Valdez. Yeah.
Yeah, same thing. You're going to get the points.
Oh, okay.
Delta Fish said oranges are not 4 inches.
I've got a sack of California navals from Sam's Club that disagree with you on that one.
Yeah, I disagree.
I think oranges are at least 12 inches.
Delta Fish. I don't know what kind of oranges you're growing in your yard, because I'm
grapefruits.
Fairly confident you grow oranges. Maybe you should learn how to grow oranges better. That's why yours are so small. Question number 3. How many gallons of crude oil were spilled during the Exxon Valdez disaster?
7 gallons.
How many gallons of crude oil were spilled? I mean, 7 gallons were spilled, but it's a lot more than that total.
There were lots of 7 gallons spilled.
My goodness gracious. Cheddar Cheese says, my oranges are definitely longer than 4 inches. Shut up.
It's not the size of the orange, but the length of the branch. All right.
The length of the branch. I thought it would be the taste, but
oh my god,
that's also weird.
Okay, Steven, what do you got?
120,000.
Nick, what do you got?
Oh god,
3.2 million.
Oh Jesus.
Alden, what do you got?
I went way higher. I said 20 million gallons. So who knows?
Alden, Nick, what'd you say?
3.2.
What does the audience say? So somebody in the audience says tree fitty, but I don't know. I don't know if Sunquack, is that millions or is that just 350 gallons? Because those are
It's
two very
tree
different
fitty.
things. Please clarify.
It's tree
because
fitty.
that answer will determine who got this correct.
Don't say that, because now it's gonna be the answer that
They don't know. If it's no, that actually can land anywhere on 350,000, 350 million, 350. They said
we know it's not 350 gallons.
350 million, which means the audience gets it. Oh wait, 350 million gallons. Never mind. That answer, never mind. I was confused. I'm a little tipsy. Apologies. Nick gets it because it is 11 million.
Ooh.
Damn it. Oh, that's
That
so
was
close,
close.
actually, between.
Yeah, it was
mine
between
his.
you and Nick. Yeah.
Yeah.
Sorry, some quack. Apologies. I misread or misinterpreted. Whatever. Question number 4.
Tree Fitty's still funny.
What percentage of Alaska's state revenue comes from oil and gas production historically?
Probably 200%.
Alden, please answer 200%.
I might as well. I'm not going to win anyway.
Yeah, but I want you to beat Steven for some reason.
What do you kind of bet on us? Like,
have y'all not seen that our libations trivia is now on Polymarket and you can bet on it? It's amazing.
What?
What?
No, it's not.
Shit. I was gonna
say.
go bet on me to lose.
Once we're on Polymarket, like that's when we know we've made it.
I want to see what are the odds of me winning. You know what I mean? It's like 100 to 1.
People would be betting $2 to win 10 grand. That's what it would be.
Thanks a lot.
I would be betting
It's
against
200
myself
to 1.
and then losing on then throwing it on purpose until you put that
Oh my
in
God.
contract.
Steven, what's your answer?
73%.
Okay. Nick?
6-7%.
Oh,
gosh. Alden?
I did 80%, echoing our burrito thing.
The audience says 68%.
Ooh.
Alden,
Is it
you did it, man.
69%?
You
though?
did it. It is
Oh, hey.
87%.
Shit.
Oh my God, I edged out Steven by a nose.
You edged out Steven by a nose, but
And I lost the audience.
after you didn't lose to the audience. Oh yeah, you did lose to the audience.
Yes, I did.
You are tipsy.
Yo, I am.
You
I'm
know
losing
you
my
won,
dadgum
Nick.
mind.
But...
Shut your mouth. Shut your mouth. All right, y'all. After 3 rounds, Steven has a total of 10 points. Alden has 12. Nick has 18. And Libation Nation gets the victory with 20 points. All right, y'all. Thank y'all so much for tuning in to Libation Nation trivia, as well as our entire show. We're going to get into some funnies here in just a second. But before we do, Alison Sher, thank you so much for coming on. I know you had to squeeze it into your schedule tonight. It was amazing having you. I enjoyed reading the book. Please keep writing. And yeah, y'all, seriously, go buy that book or one of her books because it was good. I thoroughly enjoyed it. I know what's that, Nick?
You missed an important on this day.
I didn't miss one. I definitely skipped over some on purpose. Which one are you thinking of?
Duncan Lemp. The murder of Duncan Lemp.
Dude, why would I make trivia depressing as crap? Yeah, no, I'm not
because we should always remember the murder of Duncan Lemp.
Okay, go look up Duncan Lemp. It was a horrific murder by the government on a guy who was asleep in his own dadgum bed. It was a terrible, terrible situation, and it is definitely something that you should take heed of when dealing with law enforcement in the future.
And the lesson here is don't sleep in a bed, I guess.
Yeah, sleep in the woods somewhere where a bear can maul you. You're less likely to die.
I'll be right back, guys.
All right. Yeah, go check out the Social Contagion, y'all. Go buy it on Amazon. I think I've got a PDF version of it that you can download. I bought the actual copy. I really like buying physical books these days. I like getting the books and having the audio book playing while I'm reading. That gets me locked in. So go check it out. Fantastic read. And it's nice. Like most of our, obviously most of our political commentary and stuff comes from a very libertarian and anarchist background. It was really good to dive a little deeper into the ideas coming from somebody who doesn't have that background. Although seems like she grew up with some of that, according to her. I think it was probably a little bit different anarchist society because I think the majority of us would side more with anarcho-capitalist, which it doesn't really happen on a hippie commune. So, but go check out the book and give her a follow on her Substack. And yeah, and hopefully we'll have her on again soon because she was a delight. I really enjoyed talking to her. So, all right, y'all. Let's get into some funny stuff. While we're at it, actually, before we do, go on over to peacefulsea.network. Check out our website. Things are coming. Things are changing. We're going to get an app soon. We're building the brand. It's going to be big, and we're going to get some.
We've got a new logo on Discord.
Got a new logo on Discord. We're going to get, y'all, we're getting some sponsors and some advertisers on this show very soon. So stay tuned. This show's going to start making actual money so that we can have bigger production value, so that we can start getting bigger interviews, bigger people on this show.
Pretty soon we'll have Trump on the show.
Do we want to do that?
No.
I mean, it's not something to pursue, but if it happened.
What? If it happened with Trump? No.
Yeah, if he just like called you up one day and said, let me come on, I think we'd say yes, but it's not something we pursue.
Look, if Trump came on this show, I just feel like I'm going to end up ridiculing the ever-living crap out of him on air. Like, I think it's going to be like that would be how it would go. I'm not going to be respectful.
We've made too much fun of him.
We already know what Trump is about at this point. He's already caused an enormous amount of damage. If he ever happened to, in an alternate universe, come on this show, I'm going to berate him endlessly until he shuts up and logs out voluntarily. All right. That's pretty much it. All right, y'all, let's go watch some funny videos and get out of here. All right. First one up. All right. There we go. Actually, y'all, I'm so sorry, y'all. I am so far behind in my brain. Here we go. First funny video of the night. Dude, that cracks me up.
I don't hear it, but I get it.
Yeah.
You can't hear it?
No, we couldn't hear it.
But I do get it.
We get what's going on here.
Hang on. How do y'all not hear that?
Oh, I don't
know.
Hang on one second. I'm going to actually. I know why you can't hear that. It was a malfunction on the Brave tab. So hang on one second. Here, try this.
Yeah, there you go. It's better with sound, yeah.
Dude, that's a trend now. I've seen this with a bunch of chicks who just scream at dudes walking by and then
make them look.
So good. It's genius. All right. Second one. Just speak some truth. It's freaking great.
Said that fitness watches are basically expensive Tamagotchis, but the stupid animal you're trying to keep alive is yourself, and now I can't unhear that. Someone said that fitness watches are basically expensive Tamagotchis, but the stupid animal you're trying to keep alive is yourself, and now I can't unhear that.
That is pretty darn
so stinking good. All right, we showed this guy once a long time ago, and I just saw this video and pretty stinking funny. Actually, I think I can make this screen a little bigger for us. There we go.
Oh, off rip appendix doesn't do anything, but it will explode sometimes, and if it will
kill him. That's fun, right?
I'm just spitballing here. Wisdom teeth. Well, it sounds fun, but we'll make them useless. Actually, you have to get them removed, or things will go very wrong. Throw them to the dentist. You know, I feel like I've been neglecting them. Toenails sometimes
grow into the feet.
Make 4% of people not be able to see without glasses. And
don't invent glasses for a very long time. Yes.
Make it so like a good group of them will die if they eat peanut, but make peanuts delicious and other people enjoy them. So that when they eat the peanut, it's going to be a big surprise and their throat's going to close up.
We gotta thin the herd, gang.
I don't know what that is or what that could be, but just make sure it's the most
annoying thing possible.
Actually, could we move the fun part of the body right next to the poop part of the body? Just see what they do with that. I'm curious. Another word that just popped into my brain: allergies. Just make it so, I don't know, 2 entire seasons out of the year are
unlivable for a large percentage of the population.
And for my final trick, make some of them gay, but make the rest of them hate that.
Yes, that'll be fun to watch.
Right, so off rip.
Oh, God.
All right, our final one is far more topical. Enjoy.
Oh, yes.
Iran fighting off the U.S. military on magic carpet.
I like that someone commented, people will think this is AI.
Dude, phenomenally
There's a bunch
done.
of videos like this. Yeah.
It's so good. Like the people who made those did such a good job doing it. Let's see. Cheddar Cheese says, Jake, everything you were saying makes me want to sign the Trump on LL petition. I mean, yeah, I mean, I would totally accept him coming
Just
on.
all 4 of us would just moon the camera. Like,
yeah, it would be very short-lived. I don't know. Has Trump ever just walked out of a press conference? Maybe he wouldn't walk out and he would just take the berating and try to speak over us. I don't really know. It'd be a weird one.
That would be
weird. I got to get to the airport. I got to break down my Starlink that's on top of my truck right now, and I got to drive to the airport, which
you
is
got to
30
sober
minutes
up.
that direction. Okay, sure.
Don't incriminate yourself here, Jake.
I'm not saying anything. I plead the fifth on that. All right, y'all. I really appreciate y'all tuning in for the whole show. Allison, you're a fantastic guest. You're welcome back anytime. And Steven, Alden, Nick, y'all got anything to say before we jet?
Not really. No.
All right, y'all. We'll see you next week on more Liberty Libations. Peace.